outdoor eaters, today you really better pay attention, because I will teach you the absolute easiest way to do pulled pork and pork ribs. Those are two very long and complex barbecue preparations, but with this method it will be super easy, even if you don't have a barbecue. You are going to need just a fire, a grill and some planning skills. So that I can show you how good this method is, I bought the absolute cheapest meat that I could find. This method is great if you have a small barbecue, a very cheap barbecue like myself, or if you have to prepare a lot of meat. I got this idea because some friends invite me over for a cookout, and I really wanted to do something special. But we did not have a barbecue, but I had a sous vide machine. Now pay attention, because I'm not saying that this method is the best. I am saying that this method is the absolute easiest, and in the end you will have a superior result that is very good. But is it better than what a barbecue master can do? Well, I'm not so sure about that. And because we're talking easy, for the pulled pork I will use the pork snack and not the shoulder, because it's smaller and easier to get. And now, just like we did with the ribs, let's cover it up with our favorite barbecue rub and leave it for a few hours. Now it's time to get our barbecue nice and smoky. If you don't have a barbecue, you can skip this part, but I recommend doing it because the meat will get that smoked flavor that we all love. I will be doing it on very low heat. A barbecue expert will say that the barbecue is overcrowded, and that's correct. But the meat will stay in here only for 2 hours so that it can get the typical barbecue flavor. And if you would like to take the smoke a step further, just add some fresh herbs. And this is how the meat looked like after 1 hour of smoking. I added some more wood and closed the lid for another hour. And after 2 hours of smoking, the meat looks like it's almost done, but in reality the ribs are very hard and chewy. I mean, look at this. And the pork snack is completely raw inside, but I am very satisfied with the smoking. So the pork is vacuum sealed, and the next thing we're going to do is to put it in the water bath. We're going to leave it in there for 12 hours at 73 degrees Celsius. That will be 163 Fahrenheit. So normally I do use a different time and temperature, but because this time I am cooking two completely different cuts of meat in the same water bath, I try to compromise, and I think that this should do it. I love this method because it's just so practical. You can smoke the meat way ahead whenever you have the time for it, and you can put it in your refrigerator, vacuum sealed of course, or you can even froze the meat, and then whenever you want to cook it sous vide, you just take the meat out, put it in the water bath, and it's going to be perfect each time. I am cooking the meat overnight because I need it the next day for lunch. I started to cook the pulled pork 2 hours ahead, and now it was time to add also the ribs. And the next day it was time to take the meat out. I added that plate as a weight because I was afraid that the bags were going to float. When I am doing this operation, I always get very excited. I can feel how tender the meat already is. When you are cooking sous vide, always remember to use sous vide safe plastic bags. This is looking very nice. So I ended up cooking the neck for 14 hours and the ribs for 12 hours. But there's something else that I like to do. So you guys see all of this juice inside of the bag? This is meat juice, and we are not leaving this behind. So what I like to do is to make a little hole inside of the bag and just to take the juices out, and we're going to make a sauce. Then we're going to seal the meat back again and put it inside of the container with the warm water, with the sous vide turned off, just to keep the meat warm for another few hours. And now have a look at this. With any other cooking technique, you will end up losing that juice, but not with sous vide.
and I can tell you that it smells fantastic. Then I close the bags and put them back in the warm water, so that I can keep the meat at the right temperature. This thermic box is so practical because I will use it to transport the meat. I have a long trip ahead of me and we're going to eat this meat in about 4 to 5 hours from now. But now it's time to make our teriyaki inspired glaze. Chop very finely some ginger and garlic and put them in a pan with some olive oil. Cook for about a minute and then add also some sesame seeds. And get them nice and brown. And while you're doing this, be careful not to burn the whole thing. Then combine some soy sauce, apple vinegar, but you can also use cider vinegar or any other kind, and also some honey. Now combine the ingredients and add them into the pot. Then bring it to boil and let it reduce. After 5 minutes, throw in the meat juice. And boil the whole thing for a few more minutes. Then dissolve 1 tablespoon of cornstarch into 3 tablespoons of water and add it to the sauce. And now let it cook until you're going to be happy with the consistency. This is what I was looking for. And finally, later that day we have arrived to the cookout party, and I was more than happy to show my friends what I have done. That box kept the temperature and the meat was nice and hot and ready to go on the grill. When you're cooking sous vide, the downside is that when you open the bag, the meat does not look very appetizing. But don't worry, because we're going to fix the appearance with some old school firepower. The meat is on the grill and the next step is my absolute favorite. Let's start glazing. With a brush, apply the glaze on the meat. And remember, don't be cheap with the glaze. When I am looking at something like this, my eyes are always full of joy. What do you think? After just a few minutes on the grill, we can already start to see some crust. And just have a look at the grease sizzling. That's so yummy. Do you remember the meat from earlier? Look how beautiful it is now. The crust and the glaze can really make some difference. I also made a very quick coleslaw salad, but I won't be showing you the recipe because there is just nothing special about it, it's just a regular coleslaw. But enough salad talking now because the ribs are ready. You can definitely see that the smoke has penetrated the meat, there is a very nice smoke ring and look how tender they are, and I guarantee you that they are very juicy. You know that they're good because look how clean the bone is. But now let's try out the pulled pork. Nice smoke ring, beautiful crust, and the meat is extremely juicy. And that's because we cooked it sous vide. The meat is nice and soft and it pulls very well. But the next time, instead of 14 hours, I will be cooking it for 16. And I'm sure that it's going to be even better. But what I normally like to do is to cook it at 75 degrees Celsius for 14 hours. But I couldn't do it this time because I was cooking it with the ribs and I was afraid that they could get a bit too soft. But anyway, I have to say that I am very satisfied with the end result. To make the whole thing even more yummy, I added some sauce and I was ready to try it out. And that was so tasty. And the secret was in the sous vide cooking, because it captures the flavors and does not let them escape, so that you can have them all in your mouth. I really hope that this video was useful, and I hope that you can appreciate modern techniques of cooking as much as I do. Sous vide is easy to use, is extremely useful, and now you can see that my goal in this video was not just to give you a recipe, but to give you a new way of thinking. And also to show you that sometimes the easiest way is also the best way. Outdoor eaters, thank you very much for watching this video. This is how you do barbecue, even if you don't have a barbecue. I am very interested to hear about your thoughts, so please tell me about it in the comments. If you would like to support the channel, please make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.